Hi, this is Tolec for the Andromeda Council. Today is Thursday, May 17th, 2018. Welcome back to this continuing, informative, edgy new series, Deep Disclosure and Evolving Reality. Today's fifth segment is titled Rise Up. As with my first four segments, my guests include two high-level insiders, M and Miss M. In a brief review of the fourth segment, M and Miss M addressed their specific insights on their version of the RV, the shutdown of a seriously bad AI computer which had been there for thousands of years, sending negative energy programming to people all across the globe, deep underground in Antarctica, the startup of a completely different, very large positive underground computer located in Arizona, the high level of security and unhackable nature of multi-dimensional blockchain programming and planned release of their own digital currency, the advancements with regard to both US-based deep state and global worldwide Cabal members being arrested, what the Silvergate and its cosmic energies is about, and more. The topics that M and Ms. M plan to cover in this segment 5 include the fact that M and Ms. M have shifted into a higher dimensional perspective, that they appreciate everyone who has contacted them and gotten involved, that M and Miss M are going to be inviting all of you who have registered at their Deep Disclosure website to input your projects and profiles in their master database for future contact with you, that they will provide more information on the Silvergate and that it is definitely a gate of abundance, that their meta-chain and meta-exchange technologies are moving along well and they hope to release them in 2 months, that the financial aspect is in its final phase and that they are very pleased with its progress, specific information regarding food, medicine, new technologies, and more. So welcome to segment 5. M, Miss M, welcome back for what is segment 5. I know a lot of people have been reaching out to you and there's a lot going on in your world in the background. So M, as you indicated earlier, why don't you bring everybody up to date?
Great, glad to be back. So we've been meeting the milestones that we set out for ourselves, and we are in the final phases of several operations that will launch everything we've been talking about. We're very pleased because on multiple levels, activations and integrations, personally and otherwise, with clearing out over in deep state and a variety of things that we've been tracking are all happening in very good form, and we're pleased and we're happy to be here sharing more about what's unfolding and how you can be involved. I further want to thank everybody that's been reaching out and appreciate all the feedback, and we've began to involve some people that have good skill sets in the developments around the cryptocurrency and around the database that I've been working on with our team that will be putting more particulars up on the website at Deep Disclosure pertaining to how you can put your project up and become a member. Basically putting your profile in so that we, in this master database, which everybody can search, by the way. This is a resource for everyone to find like-minded individuals. We're calling it Bring Your Peace. These are the people and the pieces for the global solutions. It's a global net cloud system that we're turning up probably in about maybe another week. So please, stay tuned for that information on the website. And I'm going to turn it over to Miss M for a little more commentary on the subject.
All right. Before we do that, I've got a question for you.
Oh, yeah.
Is this input form available on your website today, or will it be available soon?
So everybody that's registering, right,
Okay.
that gives us their email is going to get an invite where they will have the particulars to go log into this database software where
Okay.
they can input their data. And so we've been inviting everybody to become, a free member and provide their email, and we will be releasing the particulars and the location about how to sign in and what to do to provide the information about their project, as well as whatever profile they want to establish for themselves, what they're interested in, what their skill sets are, and this basically will be available to everybody so that we can find like-minded individuals who are all here for this grand mission.
So, and that makes good sense. Will this form where they're going to input their information and their profile and their project, will that be easily able for them to edit
Of course,
it?
yeah.
Okay.
Expand and modify as they go. If you forgot something, or basically you got some new skill sets that you want to add, by all means, yeah.
So M has just given us his opening statement. Ms. M, you're looking at me like you're ready to provide a real contribution to this discussion. So go ahead.
Oh yeah, I always have something to say.
Absolutely.
So it's very exciting to be back. It's been a crazy month with a lot of things moving forward, and we're going to change things up a little bit today and share a little bit more about what we're currently working on and how you can fit into that. And then, of course, we're going to stick to our spiritual selves and talk a little bit about what's going on planetary-wise and how that's affecting us here, and what our galactic friends have had to say about the progress we've made this month. So we're breaking things down for you into areas of focus and letting you know which ones are coming first so you are prepared for the rollout of the next phases of this spiritual revolution.
All right, great. So which part would you like to concentrate on first?
Well, let's kick it off with the fun stuff, the spiritual stuff that's going on. So
Okay.
we're approaching the Silver Gate on May 22nd. We mentioned that briefly in the last segment. And so the Galactics have expressed to me that this Silver Gate that we are about to cross through is a gate of financial abundance. And with everything that has been going on the front lines, that seems to be another accurate statement made by the Galactics. And so there are really intense energies coming in right now, as we also stated would happen as as the planet as a whole is ascending and these waves are crashing down upon us. The energies become more and more intense. And so I had a very strange experience a couple weeks ago that I'm going to share because it's pertinent to one of the last updates we got from the Galactics. And so I was hanging out with a couple of friends, and we were chatting, and one of my girlfriends asked me a question, and all of a sudden I got pulled back, and it felt like I was kind of behind a veil, and I really couldn't see their faces. They were blurry, and it sounded like they were 100 yards away from me, and I was having trouble responding to anything. It was a very strange sensation.
Even though they were 3-4 feet away?
Yeah, we were all in the living room.
Okay.
So it was a really strange sensation, and it reminded me of the timeline collapsings that I had experienced before, that I physically felt. But this one was very extended. It went on for a few minutes of me kind of grasping at trying to assimilate to my new reality, and then a couple hours later just kind of grounding back into this reality. So it was a very strange experience, and it certainly stuck with me. And a few nights ago we were tuning into our friends upstairs, and they brought that up, and they said to me that I had experienced something that a lot of people are going to begin experiencing. And so what happened was I had shifted into like higher frequency. So some of people may have heard of, like, you know, the waves, like first wave, second wave, like shifting into this higher consciousness. And so some of the first wavers are now shifting into that higher dimensional reality. And they expressed to me in this channeling that over the next 6 months, you know, in their own time, the first wavers will be transitioning into a higher dimensional reality. Now, it doesn't mean that we're not in the same reality. It just means that we're in a higher consciousness, and we can begin to like pull other people through, because as they've also said, that humanity itself as a whole has 7 years to make this transition. And we're about 6 months into that 7 years now.
Right. Yeah, I've always heard that this is a transitionary time. It will take some amount of time for any number of people.
Yeah.
To allow for whatever processes are necessary for them to, if you will, climb the higher dimensional ladder. Sure.
Yeah. So a new era has begun, and it is very exciting. And it's I'm having a hard time like just being present right now in this reality, because on top of all the crazy stuff that's been going on behind the scenes, I have had the amazing opportunity to connect with a lot of the people that have been listening to the show and do readings for them. And an interesting aspect of that is there's some common themes running through these readings. Is that, you know, a lot of people are being upgraded. They're connecting in more to their higher selves. I used to have very little information come through about past lives and soul origin and lineage, and that is really opening up. And I understood this before as the fact that this was earned knowledge. That your guides really only shared this information to you if it was relevant to where you were on your path at the time, and they shared it bit by bit. Well, now they're opening up more of that, because as we move into November and pass through the Golden Gate of spiritual ascension, we're being integrated with more aspects of ourselves.
And that's because the cosmic energies are out there to allow that.
Yes,
yeah.
Exactly. So because of the speeding up of everything and the higher vibration, we've had like tons of spiking in the Schumann resonance. It's been up over 70 over and over again for the last few weeks, which is really intense. If you're unaware of what the Schumann resonance is, the planet as a whole has vibrated at, I think, 7.8.
Yeah, it's been
for
single digits for a long time.
Most of human history. Yeah. And that has been going up and up. It's the highest one it's reached so far is 90. So imagine everybody's kind of feeling it. Like, even if you're tuned into it or not, you can feel this higher vibration occurring. So, yes. It's
a fascinating time.
It's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's pretty exciting.
So, Em, you're looking at me like there's something you'd like to contribute. So, go ahead.
Well, absolutely. I concur in so many ways, and have had similar experiences with people that we've been meeting. It's awesome too, because we've been doing these workshops, and certain people have been, really lighting up that we're connecting with more profoundly. And just in our own inner circle, like, everybody is sort of awakening to more of their gifts and abilities. And so that's, because of all these alignments and activations. Furthermore, the people that have been following the links to my book and my information, that I've put out so long ago, and I couldn't really get to the next level until the 7th Seal opened last year on November 22nd, which enables people to have a quicker integration, activation,
kind of like upgrade
pertaining to the frequencies that are associated with the material and the 7th Seal activator. But people have been contacting me and telling me about their experiences pertaining to a realignment of their field, where they're shifting into a higher dimensional aspect of themselves, like Miss M was saying. And like one woman was describing that there was like 3 layers of 7 for 21 codes of activation, and the 22nd was like the golden key that opened the crown, and then she went online with more of her multidimensional self and aspect to the, the multiverses, and did it to a friend, and he had the same experience. And so I think that, I'm not the only person, you even told me a story too, whereby it's happening for everybody. And there's just certain tools that I think, as there are always many highways and byways to the summit.
Good point.
Some are the back road, and some are the,
the front face of the mountain, so to speak.
Yeah, the highway. Yeah. So I think that the seventh seal can move you very quickly into your alignment for your highest purpose. And so I'm just so pleased because, again, I've been waiting a very long time. I knew that this time was coming, that we would all, do this unity community vibration across the planet. And so I'm thrilled, and continue to welcome, the soul family, the people that know that they're on point for mission to accomplish the Golden Age activation. And furthermore, on the subject, I think we're just going to jump around on the topics that we normally cover. Like, for example, pertaining to deep state, the Galactics have done a lot of cleanup, and this was part of the galactic messaging that came through with Miss M. They've taken more people off planet that, have not been able to be rehabilitated, so it's kind of a roundup of those that are going to some kind of a prison planet or something, whereby, if anybody is not aligned with what's happening for this activation, there's ever the more so swift and immediate removal, because
it's probably wise. No more impediments.
Right, exactly. We're on a real important timeline now, heading towards the Golden Gate, 11/22 this year, where there'll be the, greater spiritual ascension and awakening, and the Golden Age activation pertaining to the abundance. Of course, abundance comes on many, levels. It's not just about, the wealth. It's about health. It's about, the bliss that comes with everything that represents becoming more of your whole self, your higher self. And so, they're not messing around now, and they're really communicating that everything is stepping up into high gear.
Would it be accurate to say that? So we're here in 2018. In 2019, when these dates come up again, Silver Gate and Golden Gate, would those two new dates in 19 be yet higher level activations of what we're going through this year? Would that be an accurate
statement? I believe so,
statement?
because of these gate alignments, the energy and the connectivity, through the sun to the golden central sun, and all of this energy is more focused. I mean, that was my experience when I first began to be activated by this. It was 7 years in a row that when the 1st of November came, 111, which is a kind of a sequence of activation and initiation, it really stepped up until 11/11, and then it was really full force on November 22nd, for example. So, I would tend to say that it will only, continue to increase.
Right. And because this planet, which is part of the solar system, is moving through space and getting closer to the central sun, that means we're also getting closer to the higher vibrational energies.
Indeed, and those other waves that we speak of,
right.
So these will be trigger points for them. These will be the initiatory, alignments where it really brings them into the higher perspective and dimensional reality.
Ms. M?
Yeah, so speaking of the deep state and the changes occurring on this planet, the messages just keep coming in at a rapid pace. And last night I had a dream where I was walking through the yard, and I looked over to my right, and there was a bald eagle on the ground that had fallen from its perch, and it was sitting in a pile of garbage. And so I thought it was very symbolic.
Maybe it's apropos that this is Rise Up. Maybe that thing's going to turn into a phoenix, and rising from the ashes, this great country is going to shine.
So, Miss M, where do we go next with this?
Well, that was actually a great transition into what our areas of focus are as far as rebuilding our world in a better way. And so starting with the media is very important. It's one of our phase 1 agendas. because the media controls the narrative for the planet, and
Well said.
they also, the media content that we consume shapes our culture, and it affects the way that we view one another, and gender and race and socioeconomic class. And so it's really important to start putting positive messaging out there. It has been a very effective tool for the opposition to program people to believe the things that they want them to believe. So if you're one of those people that's out there that still believe the stuff that they're hearing on the news, we understand that's okay. It's a very well-played agenda to have you come to those conclusions, but now it's time to wake up and realize that these media outlets that you're following are owned by 6 companies that take their cue from the CFR, and these are your oppressors who are telling you what to think.
Council on Foreign Relations.
Correct.
Okay, right. And even if they're spinning a story, they have, if you will, the right-wing version and the left-wing version, and it really doesn't matter which version it is. The idea is to make people upset, get them angered, which keeps them spinning in a circle.
Exactly. It's a divide and conquer technique. It's all about the separation reality, and it's evidence. And there are a lot of things that are like hot button issues that are happening right now that actually pertain to making a better world for ourselves. So, we're seeing the fall of the patriarchy right now, which has been disempowering for both genders.
Right.
And the media contributes to this in a major way by the way that it objectifies women on screen and portrays violence against women and causes the current climate that we have with the relationships between men and women on the planet right now. And so that's something that has to shift in our new paradigm, where we are portraying strong women in a positive way and in a realistic way that will help men reconnect with their emotional body and help women feel empowered, and also stop demonizing feminine sexuality and bring us back to a healthier interaction between our genders.
M?
Yeah, I think it's really important to underline that, because what the oppressors have done, and very effectively, of course, to disempower us and keep us from awakening into our higher aspects and higher selves and ascended consciousness, is to reinforce the separation of the male and the female, the mind and the heart. And these energies, it's not really about positive and negative, as negative and dark. It's actually about electric and magnetic. And so this is really the key to self-realization, and anything that represents enlightenment is that your mind and your heart are able to come into harmony and equipoise. This has been the key all along, the things that have been taught in the mystery schools. That
kind of balance is really important.
Precisely, the whole body system needs to be in balance. And so if you cut off your sexuality, there's your Kundalini energy, there's your creative force. Right. So the separation of all this was the major tactic to hold people back,
and to essentially pit men against women. I mean, that's purposeful,
as well as the church saying it's shameful to don't play with that, or don't express your your interest in the energy that can move through your body and feel good. That's a bad thing. You're going to go to hell if you feel good.
And the sexual interaction between men and women is only for procreation, only to make children.
Exactly. Yeah. And but these are all microcosmic and macrocosmic systems. The positive, the negative, the electric, magnetic, the mind, the heart. These are ancient things that were well understood, like in ancient Egypt. Bringing all this into balance is how you definitely activate your super consciousness. And so super science we're learning more and more about what energies and frequencies and everything can do. And so it's a whole system, you know.
Yeah.
And so when you cut that system apart, it's very easy to disempower.
Yeah, it's kind of like, if I may contribute to this, it's almost like if we were to compare this discussion to a backbone. And if there are vertebrae in the backbone that are out of alignment, then the backbone and the rest of the body is not going to work correctly. So what you're talking about, if I understand correctly, is the realignment and reintegration of different aspects of self. You know, the emotional, the intellectual, the higher dimensional energetic, aligning all of those so we can be, if you will, the best version of humanity that we can be while we're still here. Is that?
Precisely, yes.
Okay, great.
And then when you do this work, and there are many forms of it, I don't profess to have the only way.
Right.
The right and left hemisphere of the brain become more balanced. You know, so your analytical and your creative are working hand in hand.
Right.
You know, so you're listening to your heart and, you know, following the logic in a meaningful way instead of reacting. Well, most people, you know, they have an emotional response and they react instead of taking a breath and choosing, you know, the wise course of action. And so Miss M and I talk all the time about mastering the emotional body is the most important thing. And
good point. Yeah, really good point. Mm-hmm. And essentially what you're talking about in this aspect is the, if you will, the appropriate balance of, for us as men, feeling and expressing what might be considered a feminine response, but fully feeling whatever that expression is going to be and respecting it.
Exactly.
And that's...
And move through it.
Yeah, move through
just
it.
Breathe with it.
Yeah.
And then, you know, it just becomes a practice that you can very quickly, you know, be more aware. Okay, I'm feeling this, and I don't really need to respond to it.
Right.
You know, I can let somebody know if I want to, but I can also just shift it very quickly because, you know, life brings up.
It brings all sorts of
energy.
stuff.
Emotions is energy and movement.
Yeah.
So it's going to happen all the time, and it's up to you what you do with it.
I think that is extremely well said and very refreshing to hear coming from the two males in the room.
Thank you.
And so bringing it back to the media topic, these are the kind of messages that we want to put on the screen. This is the kind of messaging that we want, creating our narrative, creating our story. And so that's why it's super important to take control of that mechanism so that we can start putting out conscious content and changing the way that the world is seen.
Yeah. Thank you for bringing that back to center, because this moment in time and this discussion point is really important, because there are men that I've met and interacted with who generally have been on the far male side of the scale emotionally. And some of them are kicking and screaming, trying to get to the center point of balance. Some of them are saying, I need to make changes because it's going to be better for me overall. It's going to be better for my relationship with my wife or my girlfriend. So to bring that to your center point regarding the media, I think it's smart that this kind of content will be out there openly, you know, discussed, revealed, portrayed, however it can be most beneficial to people. That makes sense.
Absolutely. So conscious media is one of our phase 1 agendas.
Okay.
Another phase 1 agenda is, and this is just because of logistics, is the fintech that we've been working on, financial technology, and the building of the new system. And this has to be done first so that we can actually fund other projects and track them and ensure their success, and also so that we can have a mechanism for which to move money that is transparent and safe.
Right. And the fintech discussion right now is about the two of you and your own production efforts and planning efforts regarding digital currency and meta, if I understand this to be,
we have
the next level.
Next level things happening. We've met more people that have components. We have a meta platform that we're creating. with a meta chain. There's different things that we're planning that will enable us to move out a lot of money, to infuse all this. But it's also about having a super global solution that we can do transactions and do commerce in a way that is not shut down and not interfered with, as we've said. And so we'll also be releasing more information on the website about one of the coins and some of the other upcoming coins where you can participate. Probably in maybe a week, we'll put some information up pertaining to that. And yes, we have said that we will be empowering a wallet where you can get some of your own coin in a beta test. We're hoping that will be probably a month out from now, that will actually take everything to the next level.
So Ms. M, you're looking at me like you have some real substance to contribute next to this discussion, so go ahead.
Well, we started talking about technology here. So
right.
we've started with the fintech, but we've also mentioned, meta platform. And so the blockchain does much more than just financial transactions, and that translates into our meta platform. And so what we're creating is a place for people to do commerce globally and also to socialize and new ways for people to make money as the world evolves. And so that is what our platform will grow into in the next phases of this rollout of the new world. We have some other interesting components that go into that. I'll let Em explain more about what the blockchain can do for us, but we also have been working on a Wi-Fi technology. And that technology is something that's delivered through a different frequency that's not harmful to humans. So we're going to bypass the 5G and move on up and deliver a safer Wi-Fi for the planet. And it is our intention to make this a public service. And so we're working on the software first, and then we'll be deploying our own hardware because we're interested in making technology that is not disposable. Because that's another way to get people trapped in the debt cycle is to constantly have them upgrading and buying new technology. And also, it's terrible for our planet. Where does all this go? So the devices that we are working on have they're far more durable. And have a longer life than our current technology. And so those devices would connect into our public Wi-Fi service. And so with that, you would be able to make phone calls and have connectivity all over the globe via satellite, so nobody would be excluded. And this would start to remove some of the financial shackles, because everybody wants to know, what are you going to do to save us from this mountain of debt that we're under? What are you going to do to make our lives better?
It's a valid point.
Well, we have to do things on a global scale that help people to eliminate some of these current financial shackles. And so eliminating your Wi-Fi bill, eliminating your cell phone carrier, these are two major bills that you're facing that would certainly increase the quality of your life in a rapid way. So we are looking to address all of those things via the technology that is changing and growing every day. And so, Em, would you like to contribute to this?
Sure. One thing that stands out as very important is we've got many unbanked on the planet. And that means that, like in the Philippines, 60 million people don't have a bank account. And so also people in Africa, you also have, in certain places, have to be a particular age to have a bank account. So if we opened up the opportunity for people to do business over their device that we're speaking of in all these remote places, we're going to have a global village with the ability to enable everybody to make money online. So a kid is not killing a tiger in Africa and selling the skin once, but rather selling pictures of it globally, for example. There's a variety of things that these multidimensional blockchains and global net of information can accomplish. The transparency of it, where anybody can see what's going on and access this information instead of like a Facebook or whoever is collecting all these statistics, which I call a negative profile. And so the positive profile is something that we all get to reference and find the commonality in the matching up of the synergistic things that will propel everybody forward. Like if you want to find resources, there will be an indication of trends that will work in your favor versus, you know, these corporations using it to try to get the upper hand in whatever case, whether it's control or, you know, making money on having information that's not available to us. And so the multidimensional blockchain and everything that we're doing that will enable all of these systems to be deployed and communicative amongst one another enable us to have this more autonomous information.
So Ms. M, in looking at how these unique technologies that you have access to are going to be used and integrated, I know that you wanted to address the medical component of this area of interest that you have. So why don't you address that a little bit for us?
Yeah, so the technology gives birth to many new medical healing modalities that we have been working on over the last few years. We have cures for common diseases that were once thought terminal via homeopathic and naturopathic remedies, as well as technologies that we've discussed before pertaining to the dream beds. And so we will be manufacturing those throughout the first phase, and then deciding how to deploy them to the public. It's important for us to get everybody's physical bodies in alignment, get them healed, because we have a population that is sick right now. It's been part of the agenda is to make everybody sick with our current medical system and overuse of pharmaceuticals that are not designed to heal, but to make a profit. And so
sadly.
Yeah. And also with the the poisons in our environment and the food that we eat. So it's very important to us to address this and to help people get their bodies whole so that they can focus on their spiritual paths.
Okay. Maybe for people who've not heard the two of you speak about this particular technology before, can you use some simplistic terms to tell people what a dream bed is and essentially what it'll do for people? Yeah,
so it's an off-planet technology that our government has had for quite some time, that they recovered from one of the crash sites.
Crashed, okay.
Yeah, that's the med bed. Our version that goes beyond it is called the dream bed.
Okay.
Yep.
And so what does it do? What will it do for people?
Well, the med bed, regrows their limbs and stuff. But the dream bed, which works with a higher form of light, will actually reset everything back to 20 years old. So you'll look 20. I mean, you can spin the dial, if you don't want to go that far back. But
so 25, 28, 32, whatever. Okay.
Exactly. Right. And so, but like Miss M said, it starts with diet and eating properly. And so even though you could get spun back, you still have to be consciously aware of how the acceleration of
the human condition, literally, the health of the human. So your contribution will be toward this effort will be these med beds, dream beds that will help to rejuvenate people's physical bodies, literally.
Yeah, that is one aspect of the new healing modalities that we have that will be available to people. There are a bunch of different things that have been worked on. We feel that there are many of us here on this mission, and everybody has downloaded their contribution and has created it. And so over the last few years, we've traveled around the country as well as our team and have met with people that have built their piece, and so we're working with them to be able to deploy this to the population at large.
So other new technologies besides these med or dream beds?
Yeah, we've come across a lot of different frequency healing technologies, and also like homeopathic supplements. And
Well, quite frankly, there's a lot of advanced technologies that the Secret Space program is using. Remember, we've been going through stargates for a very long time, interacting with other species and all this kind of stuff. And so really there's a whole plethora of advanced technologies that we intend to deploy. So we really are living in the Star Trek reality. A lot of the things that are released through the media in terms of Hollywood, TV shows and feature films, from time travel to all these, far out there things. Much of it is leaked, to prepare us for what's actually available.
And kind of like right around the corner.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, that's great. Thank you. So I understand that the topic of food is the next one up for discussion. So, Ms. M, you said you'd like to handle this. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is another area of focus for our collective that we have some solutions for.
Okay.
Now, it's a great follow-up to the medical component because, part of what's making people so sick is the food that we eat, and so we need clean food sources on the planet.
No more GMO food.
No more GMO food.
Yay.
So, we have plans to do some vertical farming, and which would make healthy food available in a lot of areas. But we also have plans to change the way that we distribute food, and also to make access to food easier. So now, I wouldn't say that this isn't a priority project. It's just that certain things have to get done first before we can do this, and this is going to take a longer time to transition than some of the other things that we're doing. So this is certainly a top priority for humanity as a whole, but it's something that's just going to take a little bit longer to accomplish. And so it's not one of our phase 1 projects. And so we have plans to make to open a number of restaurants that provide organic, sustainable, fast food at a great price, including a lot of vegan options, because we are, as a population, transitioning away from eating meat as a protein source.
Right. Makes sense.
So that's just a reality. It's a trend that's going on, and it's also about being in a higher frequency and
Very
not
true.
And not treating animals the way that we have. And through our past, our recent past, the way that we've farmed has been both detrimental to the environment and to the animals that we utilize for food and other products, and so that's something that we want to shift.
I think it's worthwhile. It's absolutely worth doing.
And it's also a health component as well. There's no denying that 90% of the problems that we have health-wise today have to do with what we're putting into our bodies. And so we need to learn how to be healthier, how to eat better, so that we can have longer, healthier lives and not need as much medical intervention in our lives, because food is part of our medicine. And so we want to re-educate people on what they eat, and also make healthy food readily available.
And of course, I understand that the environmental component is, of course, a natural overall part of our health. So why don't you go ahead and share with me what you wanted to share regarding environment?
So we touched a little bit on this when I was talking about the factory farming issue and how detrimental that is to our environment. There is the topic of climate change that is kind of controversial at this point, because some of the agenda behind that is not accurate. However, we are seeing changes to our climate, and we should treat our planet like it is our home and give it the respect that it deserves for giving us such a beautiful place to be. And so this is another one of those projects that is a huge priority for us, but not as part of phase 1, because we just have other things that we need to complete first to help people immediately. And so we do have plans to work on the environmental situation. One of those by ending, factory farming and deforestation. But also we have technologies that can be deployed to help clean up the oceans, to get rid of the radiation issues that we're having today, and also end some of the stuff that is detrimental to our environment as part of the overall operation of the opposition. So things like chemtrails and farming with chemicals are things that will be ended as they are taken out.
Yeah, a good thing for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So so those are the main areas of focus for projects and the types of things that we're funding and focusing on. The other one that I think that is also really important and is maybe part of the whole healing aspect, and that a resetting of our social systems and helping to heal the people that have been directly victimized by the negative agendas of the Cabal. And that meaning, rehabilitating the 30 million worldwide that have been actual slaves. And trafficked.
Yeah, right. And if you think about the children that have been taken, the women who have been used, children and women who have been used as sex slaves and then terrorized in the process, for any of those that are still alive, you have all of those people who've been traumatized, and they certainly have a right to be able to heal from that experience.
Yes, so we will be funding projects that serve that purpose, to help rehabilitate these individuals and give them a second chance at life.
Yeah, that's a wonderful idea. Very heartfelt.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Well, Miss M and M, you've both done a great job of covering all the topics that you said you wanted to address in this segment. I know there's some important information that you'd like to reiterate and share with people before you go today, so go ahead and feel free to address that.
So now that you know what it is that we are focused on funding, I want you to know what to do next with that. And so a lot of you have been sending me your business plans, which I'm absolutely thrilled to see, and so grateful that you are working on. However, I don't want any of that to slip through the cracks, and so we really need that to go into our database, and I need you to register on the Deep Disclosure site, and when the database is up and running, you will be entering your own projects into it. That way we make sure that everybody is seen.
Okay, and so if I understand correctly, the first iteration of somebody's ability being able to enter information, they'll have like a form with some categories. So their name, their email address, and a paragraph or two as a summary. Is that kind of what you're looking for in this first iteration?
Yeah, going back to what I said initially, we're going to be having you put in some information about yourself, and you'll follow the example there. I'm also going to make a video that teaches people how to do this, so it's extremely simple. And as far as the project goes, basically right now we just want to collect a description and a summary, a couple of data points. Again, you'll see it in the examples, so we can prioritize and organize and get a bird's eye view, and from that overview we'll decide how to approach the most relevant topics or projects for the best global transformation immediately. We will be getting to everything, but that way, we'll sort it in such a way that all the important things will come to the top. And so you'll see that there's category and classification of the type of project that will help to define that. And anyway, it'll become self-explanatory. So that's how we're beginning that process.
Okay. Yeah, and it makes sense that you guys internally have an internal process to prioritize the different projects coming in. And I understand that. When do you think this form will be ready again? At least on your website, which is...
In a week. Now, the other important thing, too, is that way, if we have a bunch of people doing the same thing, we're going to put them together and empower that in such a way that there's not redundant
that makes sense.
Effort.
Mm-hmm. And while we're wrapping this up, would you share for people, please, your website address again?
deepdisclosure.com, and from there there'll be a link to another website that we're creating that's going to be the Global Net Cloud.
Well, Miss M, this has been enlightening, as all of the other segments have been enjoyable and enlightening. I believe also informative for anyone listening. M and Miss M, your final thoughts?
Yeah, okay, great. I'm excited because I've been envisioning this for a long time, and I think it's important to understand that our thoughts do create our reality, and I've been thinking long and hard, for a couple of decades on exactly how I would be envisioning all these global transformation pieces to come together in this great, harmonious expression. And in my own spiritual journey, the work that I've done on my emotional body and everything else has been key to empowering me further in really watching my thoughts and manifesting exactly what I want. And so I just want to leave everybody with that thought, that the things we tell ourselves happen, and they're far more impactful than we realize. Yeah. So let's co-create this reality together. This transformation is ours, and we welcome all of your input and all of your involvement. And I think Miss M wants to add to that, so I'll turn it over to her.
Awesome. So I love what you're saying about that. And this is kind of a common theme that I've had coming up in the readings as well, is people wanting to know what their purpose is and what they're doing here. And so I'm going to share a little story about another recent experience that I've had.
Okay.
Because I think it just is symbolic of what we're doing and what we're facing. So one of the upgrades that I've received in the last year is that I now do clearings on people, like entity removals and energetic clearings.
DNA ancestry as well, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I was already doing kind of past life and like soul origin stuff.
Okay.
Like on and off planet past life stuff. But this is a different aspect now where I actually, people get attachments, like energetic attachments. Sure. And entities implanted into them. And so I have been trained in removing these by some guides that have joined me in the last 6 months. And so I was doing a clearing on someone, and there was an entity inside them that appeared, it looked like a demon to me. So I removed this entity, and I was kind of binding him in a golden thread that would protect him from any other attachments coming in. And when I looked behind him, there were like hundreds of these beings lined up ready to take that one spot. So I'm
kind of like feeding at the trough.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I went down the whole
like
lineup.
Yeah.
Actually, I pulled this gentleman out of his body to assist me assist me with this. And we went down the line and we took out all of these demonic entities and kind of sent them back into the light. When I got to the end of the line, there was a large reptilian king. And I'm gonna face off with this thing in the astral plane, right? And so I start hacking into this thing with my spiritual sword, and when I do, it's like the reptilian part is like a foam suit, and so I cut this thing away, and inside this foam suit is a Chinese banker. It's like Chinese man wearing a suit.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's so, I don't know, it's like, it's symbolic for our mental place. So I grabbed this guy and I sent him back into the light. And
by the way, was he surprised that he had been found out?
He was very surprised. Like, he saw me and it was like a look of shock on his face, and he tried to run away, and I grabbed him and sent him into the light. And but it was so, like, I don't know, symbolic to me, because there's a lot going around about how we're the slave planet and we're like enslaved by these reptilian beings, and and it's really kind of this victim mentality that we've taken on by following this storyline. Now, it's not that it's not true. It's not that reptilian beings haven't interfered with our evolution as a species,
because they have.
They have, but we've been here much longer than they have, and and also, it's disempowering to believe that we can't stand up to them, that these beings are these like scary monsters that are all powerful, that we have no chance against. And so when I'm cutting into this monster suit, I see that underneath,
and it falls away.
Yeah, it falls away.
Right.
Underneath it is just a scared man, and someone who's trying to convince us that his power is greater than it really is. His power over us is greater than it really is. And so, I took this as a lesson. And also, I encounter so many people that just feel stuck and miserable in our current climate, the current planet. And I understand. I know what it's like. It's overwhelming. The place that we live it can be dark. And it can be hard to be here, challenging, yeah. And so I totally sympathize with that. But there's good news too, and the good news is that you can take back the reins of your life, and you can stand up and not be a victim to that mindset, and recognize that you're the only one that can take yourself out of that darkness. And it's like, enlightenment is like this cosmic joke, right? We've been sitting in these cages, like demanding a key to get out, and when we could have just turned the handle the whole time and it was unlocked.
Right.
And so we're trapped by our limiting beliefs. We're trapped by our victim mindset. And if we focus on the positivity and focus on our happiness and joy and our own power, then we can manifest the reality that we deserve, as opposed to the reality that keeps us trapped. And
so you're talking about self-recognition, self-awareness, self-empowerment, and,
yes.
and us taking, if you will, the parenthetical keys to our car.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then there's another aspect that I just want to highlight as well, is that so many of you are sitting there waiting for something to happen, waiting for your life to begin, waiting for your mission, and you're already doing it by being here. Yeah. And we talked a little bit earlier about the consciousness grid and the 100th monkey, and simply listening to this show, being aware of this reality and seeking knowledge outside of the mainstream means that you're already contributing to the transition of this planet. So give yourselves a break and congratulate yourselves for, breaking it out of the matrix and finding your way to the light, And without you, none of what we're doing would be possible. Because without the consciousness tipping the scales on this planet, we wouldn't have had the path cleared to do the work that we're doing today. So I appreciate all of you for your contributions, and I'm so excited to build a new world together.
And I'm so excited about that too, because the vortex that we agreed to create when we started this for the evolving reality is just that. We all are coming to the conscious agreement that we are manifesting this. And so that's why we wanted to do this. And we're now picking up great momentum with the listeners. And it couldn't be more divinely appropriate that with all the alignments to the gate and everything else that's happening, that we're doing this. And so the divine synchronized time is perfect. That we are all showing up now, believing this, agreeing on this, participating in this. So yeah, it's really quite amazing that we set out to do this, and so that speaks of the power of manifestation. That we're aligning our beliefs and disempowering the psyops and fortifying our own intention in this powerful vortex for transformation. So keep up the good work, everyone, and look forward to being able to meet you soon as we are, continuing to go around the workshops, and we'll have other events too. So, anyways, I guess that's it. Really pleased to be co-creating with you all.
Well, as I've heard other people say, it takes a community, and it's important, the information that you're sharing out there with the people who are listening. So for this segment 5 of Deep Disclosure and Evolving Reality, this is Tolec for the Andromeda Council, M and Ms. M, signing off. Thanks for joining us. Take care.